Amiram, do you really think you can stand up to the three of us? Tyler laughed, his eyes gleaming with malice as he twirled a knife between his fingers. A crowd of students formed a tight circle around them, filming everything on their phones. No one dared to intervene. Alex stood alone, his glasses reflecting the midday sun, his posture deceptively relaxed. "Last chance to walk away," he said quietly. Tyler's laughter turned into a snarl. "I'm going to enjoy this." He lunged forward, the blade glinting in the sunlight. What happened next left everyone with their mouths agape in astonishment. In one fluid motion, Alex moved like water, his hand intercepting Tyler's wrist mid-lunge. A painful crack echoed, followed by a scream. The knife clattered to the ground. And then the real fight began. The best part is yet to come. Stay tuned to find out how it all ends. For now, like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Alex Mitchell, a 15-year-old teenager with tousled chestnut hair and square glasses that constantly slid down the tip of his nose, stood before the imposing facade of Lincoln Middle School. His shoulders were tense and his fingers nervously fiddled with the strap of his backpack, stuffed with new textbooks and notebooks. This was his first day at a new school after his family moved from Portland to Chicago due to his father's promotion. The school looked like a typical American institution, a 3-story brick building with wide windows and a neat lawn in front of the entrance. But to Alex, it felt like a fortress full of unknown dangers. Inhale, exhale. He mentally repeated the mantra his father, a professional mixed martial arts coach, had taught him. Fear is just a signal, Alex. It doesn't define you. What no one at Lincoln School knew, and what Alex hoped to keep a secret, was that behind his slender figure and soft facial features lay a 3-time national champion in youth jiu-jitsu. Since the age of 7, he had trained daily under his father's guidance, learning not only grappling techniques but also the philosophy of martial arts. Kushakunum. True strength is not in the ability to inflict pain, but in the ability to protect and remain calm even in the face of danger, his father often told him. These words became his internal compass. In his previous school, Alex was respected for his athletic achievements, but here he decided to start with a clean slate. No mentions of medals or titles. He just wanted to be an ordinary teenager, focused on his studies, and maybe find new friends who shared his interest in physics and astronomy. As he walked through the main doors, Alex found himself in a noisy hallway, filled with students rushing to their classes. The air was charged with the energetic atmosphere of the first day of the school year. Laughter, loud conversations, and the slamming of lockers. Alex pulled his schedule from his pocket and began searching for his first class. Advanced Math, room 206. As he navigated through the crowd, he felt curious glances on him. Being the new kid was always tough, especially in the middle of the semester. He hoped to simply blend in and not draw attention to himself. "Hey, watch where you're going, nerd!" A loud voice interrupted his thoughts, and Alex felt someone's hand shove him sharply on the shoulder, causing him to stumble and crash into a row of lockers. The sound of the collision drew the attention of nearby students, who began turning to see the source of the noise. In front of him stood a tall, muscular guy with perfectly styled blonde hair and a cold smirk on his face. The emblem of the school's football team gleamed on his red sports jacket. 2 other guys stood beside him, one muscular with a dark crew cut, the other tall and skinny with a sly expression. "Sorry, I didn't see you," Alex replied quietly, trying to defuse the situation. His body instinctively adopted a slightly defensive stance, but he quickly relaxed, not wanting to reveal his skills. "Oh, he can talk," the blonde sneered, causing his friends to chuckle. "I'm Tyler Wilson, and this is my territory, newbie." He leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper, but sounding threatening. "And on my territory, there are rules. First, don't get in my way." Alex felt his heart start to race. Not from fear, but from the adrenaline that always surged before a confrontation. He took a deep breath, controlling that impulse. "I'm just trying to find my class," he replied, adjusting his glasses. "I don't want any trouble." "Oh, but you already have trouble." Tyler snatched the schedule from Alex's hands. "Alex Mitchell, Advanced Math? Wow, we have a real genius here." He crumpled the paper and threw it back at his face. "Welcome to Lincoln High, nerd. Your life here is going to be very interesting, I promise." Tyler snapped his fingers, and 3 guys moved down the hallway, leaving Alex to pick up his schedule from the floor. A few students cast sympathetic glances his way, but no one came to help. "Don't pay attention to them," someone suddenly said nearby. Alex looked up and saw a girl with dark hair pulled into a messy ponytail and bright green eyes. She bent down and picked up his schedule. I'm Emily Parker. I can show you where room 206 is, she smiled, handing him the paper. Tyler and his buddies think they own the school just because they've won a few football games. Thanks. Alex straightened up, feeling relieved to find a friendly face among a sea of strangers. I'm Alex. Today is my first day. I figured. Emily started walking down the hallway, gesturing for him to follow her. Where are you from? From Portland, Alex replied, walking alongside her. My dad got a promotion and we moved here. Had to change schools in the middle of the semester. Portland? Cool, I've always wanted to visit there. She shot him a curious glance. So, what's your first impression of our school, aside from meeting the local Neanderthals? Alex couldn't help but smile. It's hard to say so far. I hope not everyone here is like that guy, Tyler. Oh no, Emily shook her head. Most are normal. It's just that Tyler Wilson, Derek Thompson, and Jake Harris are kind of the school aristocracy. Tyler is the captain of the football team, and his dad is a major school sponsor, so he gets away with a lot. They stopped in front of a door marked 206. Here we are, Emily said. Mr. Baker's a great teacher, but don't be late to his classes. He doesn't like that. Thanks again, Alex said sincerely. No problem, Emily shrugged. Maybe I'll see you at lunch. I usually sit with my friends in the far corner of the cafeteria by the windows. Sure. Alex nodded, feeling that his first day might not be so bad after all. When Emily left, Alex took a deep breath and entered the classroom. The day flew by faster than he expected. The teachers were mostly welcoming, though demanding, and the classmates were friendly enough, albeit curious about the new kid. Fortunately, Tyler and his friends weren't in any of Alex's classes until lunch. Entering the noisy cafeteria with a tray holding a burger and fries, Alex scanned the room for Emily. He spotted her in the far corner, just as she had said, with two other girls and a guy in glasses who looked like a computer whiz. He started making his way to their table when suddenly he felt someone trip him. Alex, with his trained reflexes, could have easily kept his balance, but he chose not to. He allowed himself to stumble, though he managed to keep the tray steady enough so that the food didn't fall to the floor. Oops, sorry, newbie. Didn't see your short legs there. Tyler's laughter rang out from the table with the football team and a few cheerleaders. Alex ignored his comment and continued on his way to Emily's table. I see you've already met the royal family, Emily said as he joined them. Cheer, this is Jason, Lisa, and Megan, she introduced her friends. Hi, Alex nodded at them. Yes, Tyler and I exchanged pleasantries this morning. Don't let them get to you, Jason said, adjusting his glasses. They're like that with everyone who isn't in their elite circle, especially with newcomer, added Lisa, a curly blonde with a kind smile. They're like vultures smelling fresh meat. Thanks for the warning, Alex smiled weakly, starting to eat his lunch. But I'm used to handling difficulties. Storie. Oh, you don't understand. Megan, a dark-haired girl with a serious look, said quietly. Tyler and his friends are not just school bullies. Last year, they drove one guy to the point where his family had to move. Alex frowned. And the administration does nothing? The four friends exchanged glances. Principal Hammond is afraid of losing funding from Tyler's dad, Emily explained, and Coach Reynolds values Tyler too much as a star of the football team. So I advise you to stay away from them, Jason concluded. Alex chewed thoughtfully on his fries. He had never sought out conflict, but he didn't shy away from it either. As his father often said, sometimes the only way to stop bullying is to fight back. I'll keep that in mind, he finally said. The rest of lunch went in a more positive direction. Alex learned that Emily was the president of the debate club and wrote for the school newspaper. Jason participated in programming competitions. Lisa played the cello in the school orchestra, and Megan was the captain of the track team. Do you have any hobbies? Lisa asked, looking at him with interest. Alex hesitated for a moment. He could tell them about his jiu-jitsu titles, how he trained for 4 hours every day, about his meditation and competition preparation. But he decided to keep that a secret, at least for now. Nothing special, he shrugged. Well, I sometimes read science fiction, love astronomy, do a bit of sports. What kind of sports? Megan immediately asked with interest. Various, Alex replied evasively. Running, push-ups, nothing serious. The bell interrupted their conversation, signaling the end of lunch break. What's your next class? Emily asked as she stood up. Alex looked at his schedule. Gym with Coach Reynolds. The four friends exchanged meaningful glances. What? Alex asked. It's just that the football team has gym class too right now, Jason said. Good luck, dude. With a heavy feeling, Alex headed to the gym. The locker room was already filled with guys changing into their sports gear. Alex chose a secluded corner and began to change, trying not to draw attention to his body, which despite appearing thin, was actually strong and muscular from daily training. He was just putting on his sports shirt when he heard a familiar voice. Look who's here, our new friend, Nerdy Alex. Tyler and his two friends surrounded him, smirking with ill intentions. I just want to change and go to class, Alex said calmly, trying not to show irritation. Of course, Tyler winked at Derek and Jake. But first, a little initiation into the traditions of our school. Before Alex could react, Jake grabbed his backpack and gym bag, while Derek blocked his way. Let me guess, Tyler drawled, rummaging through his things. You probably have your mom's notes wishing you a good day? Or maybe a little teddy bear for courage? Alex clenched his fists, feeling his pulse quicken. It was one thing to endure verbal insults, but entirely different when someone was rifling through his personal belongings. Especially concerning was the fact that in the side pocket of his backpack lay a photo from the last championship, where he stood on the podium with a gold medal. Give me my stuff back, he said, and his voice sounded firmer than before. Tyler raised an eyebrow, noticing the change in tone. Or what? You'll run off to tell the teachers? He pulled Alex's phone out of the backpack pocket. Let's see what secrets our new friend is hiding. This was crossing all boundaries. Alex stepped forward, but Derek blocked his way, pressing his broad palm against his chest. No. Where do you think you're going, nerd? At that moment, the locker room door swung open, and a tall man in a tracksuit with a stopwatch around his neck walked in. Clearly, Coach Reynolds. What's going on here? His sharp voice made everyone freeze. Wilson Thompson Harris, what are you doing with the new student's belongings? Tyler quickly hid Alex's phone behind his back. Nothing, Coach. Just helping him settle in. I've been at this school for 20 years, Wilson, and I know exactly what your help looks like. Coach Reynolds stepped closer. Give him his things back and march to the field. 10 laps around the stadium for warm-up. Right now. Tyler tossed Alex's phone back to him with a disgruntled look, while Jake reluctantly returned his backpack and bag. This isn't over, newbie, Tyler whispered as he walked past him. We're just getting started with the fun. When the trio left, Coach Reynolds turned to Alex. Are you okay, kid? Yeah, I'm fine, Alex replied, checking his belongings. Fortunately, they hadn't found the photo. I'm Mike Reynolds, the coach introduced himself. Don't pay attention to those three. Their egos are bigger than their brains. Alex Mitchell. He shook the coach's hand. Thanks for your help. No problem. The coach looked at him appraisingly. Do you play sports, Alex? A little, he replied evasively. Coach Reynolds didn't seem convinced. Well, finish changing and get out on the field. We're playing basketball today. When Alex stepped onto the field, he saw that the class was divided into two groups. Tyler, Derek, and Jake were running along the edge of the stadium, serving their punishment. But even from a distance, Alex could feel their hostile glares. All right, now that everyone is here, announced Coach Reynolds, let's split into teams. Brown and Martinez are the captains. The two guys stepped forward and began to take turns picking players for their teams. As expected, Alex ended up being one of the last ones chosen. No one knew his abilities and everyone preferred to pick familiar players. The game began, and Alex consciously played below his abilities, only occasionally showing glimpses of the agility and coordination necessary for jiu-jitsu. He didn't want to draw unnecessary attention to himself. After the lesson, when everyone had changed and was heading for the exit, Alex felt someone grab him by the shoulder and roughly turn him around. Think you're so smart, huh? Tyler hissed, his face twisted with anger. Hiding behind the coach? I don't want any trouble, Alex replied calmly, breaking free from his grip with an ease that momentarily surprised Tyler. But trouble has already found you, Derek smirked, stepping up beside Tyler. After school, in the parking lot behind the East Wing. If you don't come, we'll find you tomorrow, and believe me, it'll be much worse. And don't even think about telling anyone, Jake added, pulling out his phone. Otherwise, the whole internet will know what a coward you really are. Alex looked at them, weighing his options. He could easily handle them physically, but that would mean revealing his secret and possibly bringing even more trouble upon himself. On the other hand, if he didn't stand up to them now, the harassment would never end. All right, he finally said. After school, In the parking lot, Tyler looked surprised by his agreement, but quickly returned to his confident smirk. Great, newbie. Be ready for the most unforgettable experience of your life. When they left, Alex took a deep breath, trying to calm his thoughts. This wasn't how he had planned to spend his first day at the new school, but it seemed he had no choice. If Tyler and his friends wanted a fight, they were about to find out that they had chosen the wrong victim. The last lesson was literature with Miss Collins, a young teacher with short red hair and an energetic personality. Fortunately, neither Tyler nor his friends were in that class, which gave Alex time to gather his thoughts. Today we are discussing the concept of a hero in literature, announced Miss Collins. What makes a character a hero? Their strength, their courage, or perhaps their moral compass? Alex listened with interest, despite his anxiety about the upcoming meeting. The question was particularly relevant to his situation. Mr. Mitchell, Miss Collins suddenly addressed him. As our new student, perhaps you would like to share your opinion? What do you think makes a hero a hero? Alex straightened up, somewhat surprised by the direct address. I think, he began hesitantly, but then his voice strengthened. I think a true hero is someone who makes the right choice, even when it's difficult. Someone who uses their strength not to dominate others, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. So, very well said, Miss Collins nodded approvingly. Indeed, many literary heroes face moral dilemmas where they have to choose between the easy path and the right one. Alex pondered his own dilemma. The easy path would be to use his skills to humiliate Tyler and his friends, to show his superiority. But was that the right decision? His father had always taught him that martial arts are a last resort when all other options are exhausted. After class, while packing his things, Alex noticed Miss Collins watching him with slight concern. Is everything all right, Mr. Mitchell? She asked. You seem a bit tense. I'm fine, Alex replied, forcing a polite smile. Just the first day, a lot of new information. If you need to talk to someone, she said, my door is always open. Thank you. Alex nodded and left the classroom. In the hallway, Emily was waiting for him, leaning against the wall by the door. So is it true? She asked without preamble. What's true? That you agreed to meet Tyler and his goons in the parking lot? She looked worried. Alex, that's a bad idea. They don't play fair. They'll jump you 3 against 1. How did you find out? Alex was surprised. It's already all over school. Emily shook her head. Rumors spread here faster than a virus. But you have to understand, it's a trap. They want to humiliate you in front of the whole school. I have to go, Alex said firmly. If I don't go today, they won't leave me alone tomorrow or the day after. Then I'm going with you, Emily declared resolutely. No, Alex protested. This is my business. I don't want you to be in danger. How noble, she said dryly. But I'm not going to fight. I'm going as a witness. If something goes wrong, someone needs to be ready to tell the truth. Alex wanted to argue, but he realized there was sense in her words. Besides, there was something reassuring about having a friendly face nearby. All right, he finally agreed, but keep your distance. I don't know what they're planning. Don't worry about me, Emily smiled faintly. I know how to be inconspicuous when necessary. Together they headed toward the east wing of the school. With each step, Alex felt his resolve strengthening. He didn't want this confrontation, but if Tyler and his friends insisted, he was ready to defend himself. The parking lot behind the east wing was half empty at this time of day. Most students had already gone home, but a small crowd had gathered, forming a semicircle. In the center stood Tyler, Derek, and Jake, clearly enjoying the attention. Here he is, someone shouted, spotting Alex approaching. The crowd parted, all eyes turned to him. Alex stopped a few meters away from the trio, his face calm, but internally he was tense, ready for any outcome. Honestly, I thought you'd back down, Tyler said, stepping forward. His voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. Outing, but apparently you're even dumber than I thought. I'm not here to fight, Tyler, Alex replied calmly. I'm here to offer peace. We can just walk away and forget all about this. Derek and Jake's laughter echoed across the parking lot. You hear that, Tyler? The nerd is offering peace. Derek stepped forward, clenching and unclenching his fists. What a generous gesture. I'm afraid it's too late for peace, Tyler sneered. You see, you made a mistake by showing that you're not afraid of me, and I can't stand that. Last chance, Alex said, his voice becoming firmer. Let's part ways peacefully, and no one gets hurt. No one except you! Tyler suddenly lunged forward, swinging to strike. Alex could have easily dodged, but he chose to take the first hit to gauge his opponent's strength. Tyler's fist hit him in the shoulder, causing him to stagger slightly. "Sure, is that all?" Alex asked, straightening up. The surprise on Tyler's face quickly turned to rage. He swung again, this time aiming for Alex's face. Alex tilted his head slightly, and the punch went past him, causing Tyler to lose his balance. "Hold him!" Tyler shouted, and Derek and Jake moved to surround Alex. What happened next made everyone present hold their breath. With a grace that no one expected from a nerd, Alex moved between the three attackers, dodging blows with such ease it was as if he were dancing. He didn't attack, only defended, using minimal movements to conserve energy. "What the hell?" Derek gasped as his powerful punch met only air, and he found himself on the ground after a light shove from Alex. "Stop," Tyler suddenly said, gesturing for his friends to halt. His eyes narrowed. "Who the hell are you?" Alex straightened up, his breathing steady despite the physical activity. "I already told you. Alex Mitchell, the new student." "No." Tyler shook his head. "A regular nerd doesn't move like that. You're someone else." At that moment, Jake, who had stepped over to Alex's backpack lying off to the side, triumphantly exclaimed, "Found it! Look!" He held up a photograph showing Alex standing on a podium with a gold medal around his neck, surrounded by other athletes in kimonos. Storie National Jiu-Jitsu Championship, gold medalist in the youth category. Alex Mitchell. Jake read the caption on the photo. The crowd began to whisper. Alex sighed, realizing his secret was out. "So you've been fooling us all this time?" Tyler's face twisted in anger. "So, pretending to be a weakling, and you're a champion." "I never said I was a weakling," Alex replied calmly. "I just didn't want to draw attention to my skills. I came here to learn, not to fight." "Well, now you're definitely going to fight," Tyler growled, and a blade glinted in his hand. "Let's see how good your jiu-jitsu is against this." A collective gasp swept through the crowd. The situation had shifted sharply from a school fight to something much more dangerous. "Put the knife away, Tyler." Alex's voice turned hard. "You're crossing a line." "No, you crossed my line when you came to my school and thought you could humiliate me." Tyler began to circle him slowly, the knife aimed at Alex. "Now everyone will know what happens to those who think they're better than Tyler Wilson." "Tyler, stop!" Emily shouted from the crowd. "You've lost your mind. This is a criminal offense." "Shut up!" Tyler snapped, not taking his eyes off Alex. "This is between me and the champion." Alex assumed a fighting stance, his body tensing. He could handle the knife. He had been trained for situations like this. But the risk was significantly higher. "Last chance to back down, Tyler," he warned. "Never!" And Tyler lunged forward, the knife aimed at Alex's stomach. Time seemed to slow down for Alex. He saw the trajectory of the knife, calculating his movements with the precision of a clockwork mechanism. In one smooth motion, he dodged the attack, grabbed Tyler's wrist, and using his own momentum, directed him to the ground while simultaneously twisting the arm with the knife behind his back. A muffled cry of pain escaped. The knife fell from Tyler's hand and clattered onto the asphalt. Alex held it in a painful grip, pressing it to the ground with his knee. Derek and Jake froze, unsure of what to do, seeing their leader defeated. "Sober, Tyler," Alex said, his voice calm despite the tense situation. "This isn't a movie, and it's not a game. A knife is a real threat to life. Do you understand that you could have killed someone?" Tyler didn't respond, only groaned in pain. "Let him go," Derek demanded, stepping forward. "Don't move," Alex warned. "I don't want to hurt any of you, but I will defend myself if I have to." At that moment, a loud whistle sounded, and the crowd parted, allowing Coach Reynolds to pass through. "What the hell is going on here?" he thundered, surveying the scene. His gaze fell on the knife lying on the asphalt, and his face paled. "Wilson, is this yours?" Alex slowly released Tyler, allowing him to get up. He rubbed his wrist, his face twisted in a mix of pain and humiliation. "It was self-defense, Coach," Emily said, stepping forward. "I have it on video." Tyler threatened Alex with a knife. Coach Reynolds shook his head, his face growing darker. "Everyone go home," he ordered. "The show is over. And you four," he pointed at Alex, Tyler, Derek, and Jake, "to the principal's office." Immediately, the crowd began to disperse reluctantly, many still casting glances at Alex, now mixed with respect and even fear. As they walked to the main building, Tyler kept his distance from Alex, his former confidence completely gone. Derek and Jake followed him like lost puppies without their leader. "For your information," Coach Reynolds said quietly, aligning himself with Alex, "what you did was impressive, but also damn dangerous. You could have been hurt." "I knew what I was doing," Alex replied. "My dad has been training me since I was 7. Nevertheless," the coach shook his head, "next time, if you feel threatened, come to me or another teacher. Don't solve problems on your own." "You're right," Alex agreed. "But it wasn't just about me. I was trying to protect other students too. People like Tyler can't be left unpunished. Otherwise, they'll never stop." "There is some truth to that," the coach admitted, opening the door to the administrative wing. "But there is a difference between justice and revenge, and a fine line between protection and violence." In Principal Hammond's office, a tall woman in a strict suit with a stern look and pursed lips was already waiting for them. "Coach Reynolds, explain what happened," she demanded, her voice as cold as ice. "Madam Principal, we had a situation in the parking lot," the coach began. "Apparently, Mr. Wilson threatened the new student, Mr. Mitchell, with a knife." "That's a lie," Tyler suddenly exclaimed. "Sure, I didn't threaten anyone. It was just a school argument that got out of hand." "We have witnesses and video evidence, Mr. Wilson," Principal Hammond said coldly. "Miss Parker has already provided me with proof." Tyler paled, realizing the seriousness of the situation. "Sakawam, it was a misunderstanding," he tried to justify himself. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "Carrying a weapon in school is a serious violation, Mr. Wilson," the principal continued, "not to mention threatening the life of another student. This is grounds for immediate expulsion and criminal prosecution." "You can't expel me," panic showed on Tyler's face. "My dad, your father is already on his way," the principal interrupted him. "And believe me, he is no less shocked by your behavior than I am." Alex silently watched the unfolding events. He didn't want Tyler to be expelled, despite everything he had done. Expulsion could only intensify his bitterness and anger. "Madam Director," he finally said, "I don't think expulsion is the best solution." All eyes turned to him. "Come, what do you propose, Mr. Mitchell?" the director asked, raising an eyebrow. "Tyler made a mistake, a serious mistake." Alex looked directly at his recent opponent. "But we all make mistakes. Perhaps instead of expulsion, it would be better to use this incident as an opportunity for growth and change." "An interesting suggestion from someone who was threatened with a knife," the director remarked dryly. My father always said that true strength lies not in destroying an opponent, but in turning him into an ally." Alex continued, "Perhaps Tyler needs not only discipline, but also an understanding of the consequences of his actions." The director pondered, tapping her fingers on the table. "Konewachun, what do you specifically propose?" "A temporary suspension with community service at school," Alex replied, "and maybe mandatory anger management classes. And," he paused for a moment, gathering his thoughts, "I could teach him some principles of martial arts. Not fighting techniques, but the philosophy of self-control and respect." Tyler looked at Alex with disbelief and confusion. He clearly didn't understand why he was defending him after everything that had happened. "That's an unusual proposal," Director Hammond said, "but not without merit. Of course, given the seriousness of the violation, I must consult with the school board and law enforcement. Mr. Wilson, considering what happened, you are immediately suspended for 2 weeks, and your return depends on the results of the investigation and the psychologist's assessment." Tyler nodded, his usual confidence completely gone. "And as for you, Mr. Thompson and Mr. Harris," the director continued, addressing Derek and Jake, "you will receive a week of suspension and a written warning. If this happens again, the consequences will be more severe." "Yes, ma'am," both mumbled, avoiding her gaze. "Mr. Mitchell," the director turned her gaze to Alex. "While I appreciate your ability to defend yourself, in the future, I recommend that you reach out to school staff when conflicts arise." "I understand," Alex nodded. "It won't happen again." "Good." Director Hammond stood up. "You are all free for today. Coach Reynolds, please ensure they all leave the school premises safely." As they exited the office, Tyler unexpectedly stopped Alex, gesturing for the coach to give them a moment. "Why?" he asked, his voice quiet and uncertain. "Why did you stand up for me? After everything I did?" Alex looked him straight in the eye. "Because everyone deserves a second chance, and because true strength lies not in destroying an opponent, but in understanding him." Tyler stared at him for a long time, as if trying to decipher a complex puzzle. I don't know what to say, he finally spoke. You don't need to say anything, Alex replied. Just think about what happened and decide what kind of person you want to be moving forward. With those words, he turned and walked toward the exit, where Emily was waiting for him. That was incredible, she said as they stepped outside. The way you moved, how you handled the knife, and then how you stood up for Tyler. Why? Alex shrugged, smiling for the first time that long day. My father always said, win not by strength, but by wisdom, not with hands, but with heart. And today I understood what he meant. They walked along the path to the main gates of the school, the evening sun casting long shadows on the ground. You know, Alex continued, I was worried about moving, about the new school, about having to start all over again. But now I think that maybe this was a chance not only for Tyler to change, but for me as well. How so? Emily asked curiously. In my old school, everyone knew me as a champion, Alex explained. This defined me. Here I wanted to be someone else, just an ordinary guy. But today I realized that I can't run away from who I am. And maybe that's not so bad. Emily smiled, gently touching his hand. I think you are exactly who you are meant to be, Alex Mitchell. And I'm glad you ended up at our school. Alex felt warmth spreading in his chest. Perhaps this day was not such a bad beginning after all. But while Alex and Emily were leaving the school grounds in another part of the city, Derek and Jake were plotting revenge that threatened to destroy the fragile truce that had just begun to form. The next morning, Alex woke up to the loud ringing of his mobile phone. Emily's name lit up on the screen. Alex? Her voice sounded tense and scared. Can you talk? Yes, what happened? He immediately sensed that something was wrong. It's Derek and Jake, she said quickly. They ambushed me on the way to school. They told me to deliver a message to you. Alex sat up in bed, fully awake, his heart racing. What message? Did they do something to you? No, I'm fine, Emily hurried to reassure him. But they said Tyler is in big trouble because of you. His dad was furious when he found out what happened. They said you're going to get it too. Emily, where are you right now? Alex asked, already jumping out of bed and starting to get dressed. I'm at school in the library. I came early. They didn't follow me all the way, just delivered the message and left. Stay there. I'll be there soon, said Alex, quickly pulling on his jeans and t-shirt. Alex, Emily's voice trembled. Be careful. Something in their eyes. They weren't the same as usual. It was like something snapped. After he hung up, Alex paused for a moment, contemplating the situation. He knew that anger could drive people to reckless actions. If Tyler's dad really reacted that strongly, who knows what state Derek and Jake were in now? In the kitchen, he found a note from his father. At morning training with a client. I'll be back by lunch. There's an omelet in the fridge. Love, Dad. Alex quickly ate breakfast, grabbed his backpack, and rushed out of the house. On the way to school, he tried to call Emily again, but she didn't answer. This made him quicken his pace to a run. When Alex arrived at school, it was still early, and most students had not yet arrived. He headed straight to the library, but it was empty. The librarian said Emily had been there, but left a few minutes ago with two guys who said they were her friends. The anxiety inside Alex turned into full-blown panic. He quickly pulled out his phone and dialed Emily's number again. This time, a stranger's voice answered. Hey, champ, Derek sneered. Looking for your girlfriend? Where's Emily? Alex demanded, his voice cold as ice. Don't worry, she's fine, for now, Derek replied. Sure enough for him, but if you want it to stay that way, you'd better come to the abandoned factory behind the stadium. Alone. Right now. If you lay a finger on her, Alex started but was interrupted by laughter. What are you going to do, Karate Kid? Throw us across the room? That was Jake's voice now. We have something interesting for you. Let's just say it's a little lesson about consequences. The connection was cut off. Alex stood there, gripping the phone tightly, rage and fear battling within him. He knew that going there alone without telling anyone was reckless, but he also knew that if he went to the authorities, Emily could get hurt. He typed a message to his dad. Urgent matter, I won't be at school today. I'll explain later. Then after a moment's thought, he added, if I'm not back by 3, call the police and tell them I'm at the abandoned factory behind the school stadium. After sending the message, Alex headed to the factory. It was an old abandoned red brick building that had once been a textile factory. It had stood empty for several years, awaiting demolition. Alex knew about this place from conversations at school. Some students used it for meetings after classes, away from the eyes of teachers and parents. When he arrived at the factory, he paused for a moment to calm his breathing and focus. His father taught him that fear and anger are poor advisors in a fight. One must maintain clarity of mind and control over one's emotions. The main entrance was boarded up, but the side door was ajar. Stepping inside, Alex found himself in a large empty room with high ceilings. Sunlight streamed through the dirty windows under the roof, creating dusty beams in the dimness. "Emily?" he called, his voice echoing through the empty space. "She's here, champ," Derek's voice responded from somewhere above. Alex looked up and saw a metal balcony on the second floor. Derek and Jake stood there, and between them was Emily, with a frightened expression on her face. Her hands were tied in front of her, and Jake was holding her tightly by the shoulder. "Let her go," Alex demanded, taking a step forward. "Your problem is with me, not with her." "Oh, we'll let her go," Derek said, "after we teach you a lesson. You see, because of you, our friend is going through hell at home right now. His father took everything away from him, his phone, his car, even forbade him from leaving his room. And it's all because of you and your posturing." "I didn't want things to turn out this way," Alex said honestly. "I offered the principal a second chance for Tyler." "Yes, very noble," Jake replied sarcastically. "You made yourself a hero, and Tyler an unstable psycho with a knife. Do you know what they're saying at school now? That you took him down like a nobody. His reputation is ruined." "Listen," Alex tried to speak calmly, despite the rising anger. "I understand that you're upset, but this isn't the solution. Let Emily go, and we'll talk like civilized people." "Oh no, we have a better plan," Derek smirked. "You see, we can do something too." With those words, he pulled a gun from his pocket. Not a toy, not a BB gun, a real gun, black and deadly. Alex froze. All his training, all his jiu-jitsu skills couldn't prepare him for this. A knife was one thing, but a gun, that was a completely different level of threat. "Omonar, are you out of your mind?" But he breathed. "Where did you get a gun?" "Dad's," Derek replied casually. "Don't worry, I know how to handle it. We're not going to kill anyone, at least not as long as you do what we say." "Stop this," Emily cried, trying to break free from Jake's grip. "You don't understand what you're doing. This isn't just a school fight. This is a crime." "Shut up," Jake barked, yanking her by the shoulder. "So what are we going to do?" Alex asked calmly, feverishly considering his options. "What do you want?" "For starters," Derek said, "you're going to call Principal Hammond and say that you lied, that Tyler didn't threaten you with a knife, that it was just a prank that got out of hand, that the video was edited. And then," Jake added, "you'll write a confession that you set it all up to look like a hero, and we'll post it online so the whole school can see what a pathetic liar you really are." Alex mentally assessed the distance to the stairs leading to the balcony. Even with his speed, Derek would have time to shoot before he reached them. "And how do you envision this going forward?" Alex asked. "After I do this, you'll just let Emily and me go, and that's it? No one will find out that you threatened us with a weapon?" "We'll deal with that when the time comes," Derek replied, nervously glancing at his watch. "For now, just do what we say if you don't want your girlfriend to get hurt." To emphasize his words, he aimed the gun at Emily, whose eyes widened in terror. Alex raised his hands, showing that he wasn't going to make any sudden moves. Okay, I'll do what you say. Just don't hurt her." He slowly took out his phone, trying to maintain an outward calm, even though a storm of emotions raged inside him. He was angry, not only at Derek and Jake, but also at himself for allowing the situation to escalate to this point. He should have foreseen that they wouldn't leave things as they were. He should have protected Emily better. "Don't do this, Alex," Emily said quietly, looking down at him. "They're crazy. They won't stop." "I said shut up!" Jake tugged at her bound hands, causing her to cry out in pain. At that moment, something snapped inside Alex. The anger he had been holding back surged forth, but not as uncontrolled rage. It manifested as cold, focused determination. He recalled his father's words. "A true warrior is not one who feels no fear or anger. A true warrior is one who uses those emotions, directing them like the blade of a sword." "All right," he said with unexpected calmness. "I'll make a call, but first show me that the gun is real. I want to be sure I'm not doing this over a toy." Derek looked puzzled. "Are you kidding?" "No," Alex replied firmly. "I want to be sure I'm dealing with a real threat before I ruin my life." "Prove it to him," Jake said impatiently. "Let him make the damn call." Derek hesitated for a moment, then raised the gun and fired it into the air, towards an empty barrel in the corner of the room. The loud shot echoed through the empty factory, making Emily gasp in fright. "Happy now?" Derek asked, aiming the gun back at Alex. Alex nodded, internally recoiling at the confirmation of his fears. It was a real gun, and these two were indeed dangerous. But the shot gave him what he wanted, a confirmation of their intentions that would be audible on the recording of the phone call. More importantly, it provided him with Derek's exact location while he was momentarily distracted. "Make the call," Jake ordered. Alex picked up the phone, pretending to dial the principal's number. Instead, he secretly activated the recording and spoke loud enough to be heard. "Derek Thompson and Jake Harris are holding us with Emily Parker at an abandoned factory behind the school stadium. They have a firearm. They're demanding that I lie about yesterday's incident with Tyler Wilson. This is a recording as evidence." "What are you doing?" Derek shouted, panic distorting his features. "Stop! Who are you telling this to?" "No one," Alex replied calmly, putting the phone back in his pocket. "It's just a recording. And if you don't let Emily go right now, I'll hit send, and this recording will go to the police, my father, and the school principal." "You're bluffing," Jake hissed, but uncertainty was already creeping across his face. "Test me," Alex said firmly. "I'm not joking. Let Emily go, and we'll all just walk out of here. No one will know about the gun. I won't press charges. This is your only chance to get out of this situation without serious consequences." Derek and Jake exchanged glances, panic beginning to take hold of them. They clearly hadn't expected this turn of events. "He's bluffing," Derek said uncertainly. "He hasn't said anything." "Are you sure?" Alex asked. "Are you willing to risk your future? Because if this recording goes out, you both are looking at prison time. Kidnapping, threats with a firearm, illegal possession of a weapon. The list is long." A tense silence hung in the air. Alex could see the resolve of the two guys starting to melt under the weight of the reality of the situation they were in. Suddenly, Emily seized the moment of doubt. She moved sharply, striking Jake in the stomach with her bound hands with such force that he doubled over, gasping for air. Then she dashed towards the balcony railing. "Stop!" Derek shouted, turning to her with the gun. Time seemed to slow down for Alex. He saw Derek's finger tense on the trigger, the gun turning towards Emily. Instincts took over. With incredible speed, he lunged forward, simultaneously grabbing a metal rod from the floor, a remnant of the crumbling factory structure. With the precision and force that only years of training could provide, Alex hurled the rod like a spear. He hit Derek in the hand just as the shot rang out. The bullet flew into the ceiling, showering everyone with dust and small debris. Derek dropped the gun, which clattered loudly as it fell onto the metal floor of the balcony. Emily, without wasting a second, rushed over and kicked it into a far corner, out of reach of both guys. Alex was already on the stairs, flying up the steps with such speed that it seemed he barely touched them. When he reached the balcony, Derek was clutching his injured hand, while Jake still couldn't straighten up after Emily's blow. "It's over," Alex said, positioning himself between them and Emily. "End this now, before anyone gets seriously hurt." "You don't understand," Derek gasped through the pain. "Tyler was everything to us. He made us someone. Without him, we're nobody." "That's not true," Alex said firmly. "You can be whoever you want to be. But this," he gestured around at the situation, "is not the way. You're smarter than this. Better than this." At that moment, the factory doors burst open and several figures rushed in. It was Alex's father, Coach Reynolds, and two police officers. "Alex," his father shouted, quickly assessing the situation. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, Dad," Alex replied, keeping his eyes on Derek and Jake. "But we need help. Derek's hurt and Emily's tied up." Over the next hour, a scene unfolded that Alex hoped he would never have to witness again. The police arrested Derek and Jake, paramedics treated Derek's wound, and checked Emily for injuries. The gun was seized as evidence, and all parties gave their statements. It turned out that Alex's message to his father did not go unnoticed. Concerned about its content, Michael Mitchell immediately called the school, where he learned from the librarian about Emily's strange departure with two guys. Connecting the dots, he contacted Coach Reynolds, who knew the location of the abandoned factory, and together they alerted the police. Later, sitting in Principal Hammond's office with his father and Emily's parents, Alex felt physically and emotionally drained. "What you experienced today is unforgivable," the principal said, her usually stern face softened by genuine concern. "I am very sorry this happened in our school, with our students." "What will happen to Derek and Jake?" Alex asked. "That's no longer a school matter," his father replied. "It's a criminal offense. They will be charged with kidnapping, armed threats, and a number of other serious charges." "They just got confused," Alex said quietly. They thought they were protecting their friend. That's no excuse for what they did, Emily's mother said firmly, holding her daughter tightly by the shoulders. They could have killed you both. I know, Alex nodded, but I still feel sorry it turned out this way. After the meeting, as he and his father were heading towards the school exit, Coach Reynolds stopped them. Mitchell, I have to say, he began, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder, what you did today, it wasn't just brave, it was smart. You kept a cool head in a situation where most adults would have lost theirs. I was just doing what I was taught, Alex replied, glancing at his father. Your father should be proud of you, the coach said, and I think the school is lucky to have a student like you. Thank you, Coach, Alex replied quietly. When they got into the car, his father was silent for a while, then turned to him. You scared me to death today, you know that? I'm sorry, Dad. Alex looked down. I should have called the police right away, but I was scared for Emily. I understand your motive, his father nodded. But remember what I taught you. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. I'll remember, Alex promised. And one more thing, his father added, his voice softening. I'm proud of you, not for putting yourself in danger, but for how you handled the situation. You used your skills not to cause harm, but to protect. And that makes you a true champion. These words warmed Alex's heart, despite all the turmoil of the day. The following days at school were strange. The story of what happened at the factory spread like wildfire, turning Alex from just a new interesting student into a true legend. Students looked at him with awe, teachers with respect and concern. Emily stayed close to him, their friendship, forged by a shared ordeal, deepening with each passing day. They talked a lot about what had happened, helping each other process their emotions and fears. On Friday, when Alex opened his locker, a note fell out. Meet me in the park at 4. I need to talk to you. Tyler. Alex was surprised. As far as he knew, Tyler was still suspended from school and was effectively under house arrest. How could he be at the park? After school, hesitating a bit, Alex headed to the park. He told Emily where he was going and asked her to inform his father if he didn't return by dinner. The lesson had been learned. He would never act alone again without informing someone. In the park, on a bench by a small pond, sat Tyler. He looked different from how Alex remembered him. His perfectly styled hair was disheveled, his shoulders slumped, and his gaze was fixed on the ground. He lifted his head when he heard approaching footsteps, and Alex saw something new in his eyes. Vulnerability. You came, Tyler said, a hint of surprise in his voice. Yeah, Alex replied, sitting down next to him on the bench, keeping his distance. How did you get here? I thought you were under house arrest. My dad let me out for an hour, Tyler said with a weak smile. He said I needed to look the person in the eye that I almost hurt and apologize in person. I was lucky that the charges were reduced thanks to your advocacy. They sat in silence for a few minutes, watching the ducks swim across the pond. I heard what happened with Derek and Jake, Tyler finally said. It's awful. I never thought they would go that far. They thought they were protecting you, Alex replied. No, Tyler shook his head. They thought they were protecting their own reputation. Without me, they were nobody and they knew it. Just like you, Alex said calmly, meeting Tyler's gaze. He sighed. Yeah, just like me. I always thought being on top was everything. Having power so that everyone feared you, respected you, followed you. But now I see that it was empty. I wasn't happy. I was just empty. It's never too late to change, Alex said. Do you think? Tyler raised an eyebrow. After everything I've done? After my friends almost killed your girlfriend because of me? It's not your fault, Alex said firmly. You didn't ask them to do that. You didn't tell them to take a gun and threaten someone. No, but I created an environment where it seemed right, Tyler countered. I was the one who taught them that strength is all that matters. Alex thought for a moment. You know, my dad always said that the hardest thing in any art is not learning how to fight, but learning when not to fight. Maybe the hardest thing for you now is learning to be strong in a new way. Strong not through fear and power, but through understanding and respect. Tyler looked at him for a long time, as if seeing him for the first time. You're strange, you know that, he finally said with a hint of his old smirk. Most people in your position would hate me. Hate only breeds more hate, Alex replied. Besides, I had good training. Yeah, I saw. Tyler rubbed his wrist, recalling how Alex had disarmed him. Listen, I know my word doesn't mean much right now, but I want to apologize. For the knife. For everything. I truly regret it. I believe you, Alex simply said. They sat in silence again, but now it was comfortable, as if the first layer of ice between them had begun to melt. "So what now?" Tyler asked. "What happens next?" "Well, as far as I understand, you'll be back in school in a week. Then there will be community service. And also," Alex smiled, "you'll have a chance to learn how to control your anger from a 3-time national champion in jiu-jitsu." "Sounds like a plan." Tyler extended his hand. "Thank you, Alex, for everything." Alex shook the outstretched hand, feeling that this moment meant much more than just a truce between two former rivals. It was a moment of transformation, a moment when both of them decided to become something more than just a bully and a nerd, more than just a winner and a loser. That Saturday evening, as planned, Alex went to the park outside of town to watch the meteor shower with Emily and her friends. They spread a blanket on the grass and lay there, gazing up at the star-studded night sky. When the first meteor streaked a bright line across the black canvas of the sky, Emily took Alex's hand. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" he asked, turning his head to see her profile in the moonlight. "For saving me," Emily replied. "For being brave when I was scared. For not becoming like them, even when you could have." "I was scared too," Alex admitted. "Sometimes being brave is just doing what needs to be done, even when it's frightening." "And you did it," Emily squeezed his hand tighter. "You're a real hero, Alex Mitchell, but not because you're a jiu-jitsu champion, because you're a good person." Alex felt warmth spreading in his chest. He looked up at the sky, where meteors continued to fall like a shower of stars, creating an unforgettable spectacle. In that moment, he realized that all the trials he had gone through over those 2 days, all the fears and difficulties, had led him exactly where he was meant to be. He was no longer just a rookie, just a champion, just a guy in glasses who wanted to remain unnoticed. He was Alex Mitchell, a person who had found his place, his strength, and his heart. And above them, in the endless ocean of stars, the cosmic dance of light continued, reminding that in this vast world, there is a place for everyone. For bullies and nerds, for champions and newcomers, for all who seek their path among the stars. And Alex knew that whatever challenges awaited him ahead, he was ready to face them with an open heart and unwavering spirit. Because a true champion is not the one who never falls, but the one who always finds the strength to rise and move forward. And this truth he would carry with him for the rest of his life.